Welcome back to the Random and Wonderful podcast. I'm your host, Grace Simmons, your favorite solo travel mindset coach. Each episode, we explore ways to uplift you on your journey to add joy, confidence, and independence into your life. Today's topic is resilience in the midst of difficulties. This is part 2 of stepping into the unknown. Let's get into it. So today we're talking about the moment when something you planned, prepared for, rehearsed, and tested goes completely terrible. What do? Do you shut down? Do you throw a fit? Do you cuss at the world? Or do you pivot? While you're thinking about your reaction, I'll tell you a story. So I had planned to conduct a live webinar, which isn't my first, second, or fifth time speaking publicly, but it was the first time that I was going to be producing while presenting for myself. This webinar was the result of a goal that I had made during a coaching program. If you've listened to my episode, Name It and Claim It, I talk about the importance of naming your goals and taking action to claim those goals. So to challenge myself, I decided to conduct a live webinar on the benefits of solo travel. Now, again, this is not my first time doing this, and I'm well aware of the requirements and the time and practice required to do this. So, did I immediately jump in and start working? Absolutely not. I was battling the need for it all to be perfect first. I was trying to hear my thoughts over the ever-pronounced imposter syndrome remarks of fear and self-doubt. And for some reason, I kept finding other energy, strenuous things to do, and I had little time to work on my slides. With a few weeks to the day that I had committed to, I finally got started on my webinar, researching the best platform to record on, to share the platform or to share the webinar when I was done, and conducting a live chat on. Once I decided on the platforms, I did a few tests. I did trial runs. I rehearsed my presentation. The day before, I had set up everything, put my equipment where I needed, did my final check. So all I had to do was knock it out of the park. I also need to shout out to a friend of mine who immediately stepped into the role of being my accountability partner when I tried to back out and reschedule this. Her response was, "Okay, well, make sure you send me the link once you're done." No backing out allowed. You know, God really puts people in your life to call you out sometimes. Now, I'm not saying what I was doing was something miraculous, but I did make a promise. I committed to doing this. And so if I had given into my fear, I wouldn't have kept this promise. And so her speaking up kept me accountable. So back to the story. When I got back to the webinar, every single thing that could have gone wrong did, repeatedly. The platform I was using to record produced an error message and said that there was no local memory, which doesn't make sense. My Facebook Live was running blank because there was no connection. My slides were moving slowly, so even though I was clicking, it would take a while to move ahead. So I stopped talking, I restarted my presentation, and I tried again. The same error message came up, and this time my external camera quit working. My laptop, which was unplugged so that the fan wasn't running in the background, was dying. I was overwhelmed and frustrated. Those are the best words that I can describe because I'm sure there are a lot more. But in the midst of all that, I honestly could feel how funny the situation looked on the outside. Now, I was not laughing out loud. I barely was smiling, but I could see the humor in it. I had finally committed to doing this challenge, and I felt like I had to fight someone or something for it. I decided to try again on Canva, which I've used again before to do a similar presentation. If you're keeping track, this is the third attempt to do this really quick 40-minute presentation, and that didn't work. Finally, I decided to shut everything down. This presentation that's supposed to be about 40 minutes, I've been working on for about 2.5 hours now. and I kept getting stuck around the 15-minute mark. So lessons to be learned. Sometimes things just go wrong, and the only answer to why is that sometimes things just go wrong. The second thing is being self-aware does not mean that you are above being frustrated or even disappointed. It does mean, however, that you notice your emotions, positive or negative, and you guide yourself back to a place of calm and contentment. I wanted to throw my laptop and send a seething complaint to the support desk of that platform. The thing is, none of that would have helped me in that current situation. The next day, I was able to laugh about it, having access to all these different resources and software, and absolutely nothing was working. And there was nothing I could do. 3, remember to take a step back and pivot. Now, I could have wasted more time trying to fix each individual system, retest the different platforms, but instead, I went back to my basic goal, which is I wanted to record a webinar to talk about the benefits of solo travel. That purpose was more important than all the extra features I was trying to put on this simple webinar. Once I remembered that that was my purpose, I could figure out a solution to it. I stepped away from my desk, got some more water, and recorded the entire presentation again, almost 3 hours later. I was exhausted, mentally drained, and I was so proud of myself for sticking to my commitment. Being resilient is not an easy task, especially when your emotions are out of control. If you know that when things start to go south, the first instinct you have is to go off or blame someone or crumble into this feeling of being sorry for yourself, let's both be honest and admit that that's not actually going to help. So skip it. Start practicing those breathing techniques. Walk away, say a prayer. Go for a short walk. Just step away from that tense situation until you have gotten to your calmer disposition. It's easier to pivot when you have a clear mind. If you'd like to hear the final webinar, I'll include a link in the show notes so that you can purchase access to it. So, question for you, what do you do when things are going wrong? What's your immediate go-to? How do you react when you have zero control? How do you control your emotions? If your immediate go-to is to throw your hands up and say, this is why I don't do anything new, I'm just a walking problem, and there's absolutely no way that I can actually accomplish something unless it's been tested, tried, and done 1,000 times, I would like to invite you to take a step away from that overly pessimistic mindset, that limited mindset, and try to see your situation as a way of learning something. There are lessons to be learned in every instance, every obstacle, even in good things. So again, when something goes right, you can still take lessons from it and apply it to the next time. That's the beauty of life. So if that's something that you have some difficulty with, I'm going to include a link in the show notes so that we can do a clarity session. And what that is you and I have a conversation about those goals that you want to achieve. And we go through that process of naming and claiming. So writing out the goals and then creating a path to achieve those goals, getting away from that mindset that is fixed and changing to something that's more optimistic so that you can see opportunities and lessons in your different life experiences. I hope this podcast inspires you to recognize that you are never stuck where you are and to know that you don't have to go through this process alone. Once you feel that nudge internally, you know that something doesn't align, it can be overwhelming because you don't know where to start. If you're ready to stop waiting for permission to make bold decisions that build confidence, add joy, and create ease into your life, sign up for a free discovery call with me today. Let's get started. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm Grace Simmons, and this is the Random and Wonderful Podcast. Remember to subscribe so that you are ready for the next episode. Rate the show so that others can find it, and share your favorite episode with a friend. Have a wonderful week. Take care, beautiful people, and I'll talk to you soon.